One idea. That's all it takes to change your income, your identity, and your future. Not more time, not more luck, not more resources. Most people are not broke because they lack ability. They're broke because they never acted on the ideas that could have transformed their lives. Ideas are not entertainment. Ideas are instructions. And when you act on the right idea with intensity and commitment, everything changes. Ideas are seeds. Execution is the water. Every powerful result you see in the world began as something small, fragile, and uncertain. An idea on its own has no power until it is acted upon. Just like a seed, it contains potential. But potential means nothing without movement. Most people admire their ideas, think about them, talk about them, and then protect them from failure by never planting them. But an unplanted seed will never grow. The moment you take action, even imperfect action, you give your idea the environment it needs to breathe, expand, and evolve. Execution is what separates wishful thinking from real-world results. You don't need to see the entire path before you take the first step. In fact, clarity is a reward for action, not a prerequisite for it. When you move, your brain adjusts, your confidence recalibrates, your perspective sharpens. The world responds differently to someone in motion than to someone standing still. Action activates feedback, and feedback creates direction. Without execution, ideas stay trapped in the mind where they slowly lose energy. Most people delay action because they're waiting to feel ready. But readiness is a myth. You don't build confidence by thinking. You build confidence by proving to yourself that you can move despite uncertainty. The first step is rarely clean or comfortable. It feels awkward. It feels exposed. But that discomfort is a sign that growth has begun. The moment you execute, fear starts to lose control because fear thrives in inaction, not momentum. Execution also creates emotional leverage. When you act on an idea, you create personal investment. You start to care more, you pay attention, you improve. That emotional connection drives consistency, is what turns small efforts into unstoppable force. One action leads to another, then another, and another, until momentum replaces motivation. At that point, you're no longer relying on feelings, you're operating from discipline and direction. Income is the natural byproduct of execution. Money doesn't respond to ideas, intentions, or intelligence. It responds to value delivered in the real world. The faster you execute, the faster you learn what works and what doesn't. Each action compounds your skill, your clarity, and your courage. When you consistently water the seed with action, it doesn't just grow, it multiplies. And that is how a simple idea transforms into something powerful, profitable, and life-changing. Your problems are your profit opportunities. Most people spend their lives trying to escape their problems, not realizing those very struggles are the source of their greatest value. Every challenge you've faced has trained you in ways no classroom ever could. The frustration, the confusion, the setbacks, all of it forced you to learn, adapt, and grow. What once felt like an obstacle has actually shaped a skill set, a perspective, and an understanding that others are still searching for. When you shift how you see your problems, you begin to see opportunity where others only see pain. The marketplace rewards solutions, not perfection. People don't pay for flawless theories, they pay for practical guidance that works in real life. If you've struggled and found a way forward, you now possess something valuable. You understand the emotional weight of the problem, not just the technical details. That empathy builds trust, and trust creates demand. When someone sees that you've walked the path they're currently on, your experience becomes more powerful than any credential. Many of the most profitable ideas are born from personal frustration. Someone gets tired of confusion, inefficiency, or limitation, and decides to create a better way. Your past problems reveal unmet needs in the world. They show you where systems fail, where information is unclear, and where people feel stuck. When you document your process, simplify your lessons, and share what worked, you turn lived experience into a repeatable solution that others are willing to pay for. What you've learned doesn't need to be complicated to be valuable. Often, the simplest insights are the most powerful because they save people time, energy, and costly mistakes. Your ability to explain something clearly, step by step, can be the difference between someone staying stuck and someone moving forward. That clarity is a form of leverage. It allows one experience to help thousands, even millions, when delivered consistently. The key is to stop minimizing what you've been through. Your story is not ordinary to someone who hasn't lived it. When you own your journey instead of hiding it, you unlock alignment between who you are and what you offer. And when value is rooted in authenticity and real-world results, income becomes a natural outcome. Your problems were never meant to break you. They were meant to position you to lead, serve, and earn. Speed beats perfection. Perfection feels productive. But in reality, it is one of the most dangerous forms of delay. It convinces you that you're preparing, refining, and improving, when in truth you're avoiding exposure. The need to get everything right before you begin keeps powerful ideas trapped in your mind, untouched by the real world. Progress doesn't come from polishing plans. It comes from placing ideas into motion and letting reality shape them. Speed forces learning, and learning creates improvement. The world rewards those who move first, not those who wait until they feel flawless. Markets shift quickly, attention changes daily, and opportunities don't wait for comfort. When you act fast, you gather real feedback instead of imagined fear. That feedback becomes your greatest teacher. It tells you what resonates, what needs adjustment, and what to double down on. Perfection delays that education, while speed accelerates it. Taking fast action builds resilience. Each step you take strengthens your ability to handle uncertainty, criticism, and change. Begin to realize that mistakes are not threats, they are data. Every imperfect action sharpens your instincts and improves your decision-making. Speed trains you to trust yourself under pressure, which is a critical skill in turning ideas into income. Those who move quickly adapt faster and stay ahead. Consistency thrives on speed. When you allow yourself to move without overthinking, you create momentum. Momentum makes action easier and doubt quieter. The more often you act, the less emotional weight each step carries. Instead of questioning every move, you focus on forward progress. This rhythm is what separates those who start from those who finish. Fast, repeated action compounds into measurable results. Income flows toward those who are visible and active. An idea hidden in perfection earns nothing. Version released into the world, imperfect but alive, creates opportunity. Speed creates exposure, exposure creates connection, and connection creates income. When you commit to moving faster than your fear, you unlock growth that perfection could never deliver. Progress always outpaces perfection, and those who understand this gain an undeniable edge. Value creates money. Not effort. Most people believe income is a direct reward for how hard they work. But the real world doesn't operate on effort-based fairness. Two people can work the same number of hours with the same level of dedication and earn completely different results. The difference is not character or discipline, it's value. The marketplace rewards those who solve bigger problems, deliver clearer outcomes, and create results that matter. Once you understand this, you stop measuring success by exhaustion and start measuring it by impact. Value is created when your idea directly improves someone's life in a noticeable way. It might save time, reduce stress, increase clarity, or produce growth. The stronger and more specific the result, the higher the value. When people can clearly see the benefit of what you offer, price resistance disappears. They're no longer paying for your effort, they're paying for the outcome. This is why results-driven ideas outperform passion-driven ideas every time. Increasing value requires thinking beyond activity and focusing on effectiveness. It's not about adding more features or doing more tasks. It's about removing friction and increasing usefulness. Clearer your message, the simpler your process, and the faster your solution works, the more valuable it becomes. Refinement is a form of leverage. Small improvements in delivery can multiply results far beyond the original effort. High-value ideas are designed to scale. They work even when you're not present. This might come through systems, frameworks, repeatable processes, or products that deliver consistent outcomes. When value can be delivered repeatedly without requiring equal effort each time, income expands without burnout. This is the shift from working harder to working smarter, from survival mode to strategic growth. When your focus is on value, money becomes a natural response rather than a forced pursuit. Trust grows because people experience real results. Demand increases because your idea proves its worth. Over time, value compounds into credibility, credibility into influence, and influence into income. Effort may start the journey, but value is what sustains it and turns a single idea into long-term success. Decision is the moment everything changes. Everything in life shifts the moment a real decision is made. Not a wish, not a preference. A decision that cuts off alternatives and demands action. Most people live in hesitation, convincing themselves they are considering their options, when in reality, they are avoiding commitment. But nothing changes until a line is drawn. The moment you decide, your mind begins to look for solutions instead of excuses, and your energy moves in one clear direction instead of being scattered. A true decision reshapes your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who might try and start seeing yourself as someone who does. Standards rise. Your tolerance for distraction drops. You no longer negotiate with fear because you've already chosen your path. This internal shift is powerful because behavior always follows identity. When you decide who you are becoming, your actions naturally begin to align with that choice. Decision creates momentum because it removes mental friction. When you're undecided, every step feels heavy. When you decide, movement becomes easier because there's no internal debate. You stop wasting energy questioning yourself and start investing it in execution. Even obstacles feel different when the decision is firm. Instead of stopping you, they challenge you to adapt and grow stronger. Most breakthroughs come after commitment, not before it. The resources, connections, and clarity you're waiting for often appear only once you've fully decided to move forward. Action invites opportunity. Commitment attracts support. When you decide and act, the world responds. Opportunities that were invisible before suddenly come into focus because your attention has sharpened. A single decision, followed by consistent action, can change the direction of your entire life. Not because it guarantees immediate success, but because it guarantees move. And movement creates progress. When you decide to turn your idea into income, you step out of potential and into reality. That decision is the turning point, the moment everything begins to change.